Good evening, and welcome to the July 15th meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. We a little bit different configuration tonight. It's nice to see the room set up somewhat ordinary. No tables or anything. Our planning director is joining us up here as planning secretary. I told her it's been a long time since I've seen her over there. So we welcome her up here at the presence with us. So with that, we'll begin our meeting tonight by setting our agenda. And if there is no objection, I think we do have one change. Let me see. Nope. If there is no objection, I'd like to recommend moving item 5.2, which is review the site plan for Camel Express Car Wash located on North Mount Juliet Road, off of the regular agenda and pushing it up to the consent agenda. Any objection with us doing that? Wonderful. We will move item 5.2. It will follow item 3.5, which is up on our consent agenda. We'll just move it up there. Outside of that, I'm not aware of any changes or adjustments. Seeing none, we'll set the agenda as stated. Next up on our agenda will be our staff reports. We'll begin with Ms. Hamilton.
Thank you. We are currently trying to secure a date for our planning commission training, and we're looking at the last week in August. So we were hoping that everybody would be in town since that's right before school starts. So if you have a day that you prefer, if you don't mind, email myself or Jill, or if there's a day that you cannot make it that last week in August, we're going to try to get that scheduled. I'm trying to find us a cool location. Rick Shepard should be in the room tonight, so I'm trying to work on that with him. Wonderful. I'm trying to get us to Amazon because I would like for you guys to tour it. So
be pretty neat.
Yeah, I'll try my best to get us over there.
That'd be very good.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matt, anything on Public Works?
Hope y'all are doing good tonight. First thing I want to start off with is congratulating Dement Construction and TDOT for fixing the bridge after that unfortunate tragic event right before the 4th. Those guys got it done in 9 days. Calendar count, so give props to those guys. You know, it's fortunate they're already out there working, but to secure an emergency contract and get that fixed and back to normal within 2 weeks is, give them a clap. That's amazing. Sticking on the bridge, they're about to start setting beams here in the next few weeks. They got their columns and they're being set, so we're moving right along with that project. As for Public Works, we're still reviewing our RFQs for the stormwater utility, so that's coming along well. And the last thing I want to mention is to our planning commission, and since Scott's up here, Commissioner Hefner, is the aggressive budget that was passed for the fiscal year 2021. Just being part of Public Works, we appreciate the BOC seeing our vision, trying to play offense with the development and the growth of this town. And personally, the pay raises that were approved by our BOC, I'm personally much appreciated. I work with the best group of guys in Public Works. I know they're appreciative as well. So thank you guys. And we're ready to hit the ground running and make sure we got the best fiscal year yet. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you all. All right. Next item up on our agenda are citizen comments. During citizen comments, you may speak now or when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. Anyone wishing to address the Planning Commission at this time is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, move forward with our agenda. First item up is our minutes approval. Minutes approval. Item 2.1, the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes from June 17th of 2021. Any typos, errors, adjustments, changes, requests? With that, looking for a motion in regards to that item on our agenda.
Motion to approve.
It's a motion? And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda is our consent agenda. We'll begin with item 3.1, which is Harrington Phase 1 Sewer Letter of Credit number 954-255-3054-90093 in the amount of $116,764.50 can be released. Item 3.2, review the final plat for Carriage Trail Phase 3 located at Bar Drive. Item 3.3, review the final plat for CASA 2791 Phase 1 located at South Mount Juliet Road.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I have something, I'd like to put some conditions on that one.
Okay.
If I may. Is this a good time?
Let us finish and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Gotcha. Perfect. The item 3.4, review the final plat for Nichols Vale Phase 8 located at Tenny Park Lane. Item 3.5, review the off-site parking site plan for 12009 Volunteer Boulevard. And item 5.2, which is review the site plan for Camel Express Car Wash located on North Mount Juliet Road. With that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Weathers.
This it's CASA 2791 on South Mount Juliet Road. It's in the 16th Commission District, and that is my district. We're still a little rural over there, maybe not so much like you are used to dealing with. And I'd like to request for a 6-foot chain link fence be added on the property that'll run all along the north edge. It'll be the Nixon and the Sims property. There's already a livestock fence there with a tree line, but we want this in addition to, and even with some evergreens in the property lines, the green spaces, the open space. And the last thing I would like to get is maybe some water trucks to keep the dust down, because they're in the excavating part right now, and it's, I think today and tomorrow it'll settle it down, but when it gets dry again, we might need to water it down to keep the dust off the neighbors that are already there. And this is just to protect there's soybeans on one end and there's cattle on the other, so we're just trying to keep this contained.
Are those, will that chain link fence be on the back side of those houses? Is that where that is?
Yes.
I think she wants to go on that property.
Look on page 2. Who is this?
There's already barbed wire fence there, so
Yes.
maybe like a foot in,
So that front corner then?
Yes.
all the
way
whole entire
across.
length. What's their last name, Miss Withers?
It'll be the Nixon and Sims property. They join. And that's my request, please.
And that was, the chain link was requested by the property,
Yes,
joint property owner.
I liked the black vinyl split rail, but
Can we go decorative at least on the chain link and make it black
Black
instead of
powder
a?
coat,
I think that would look
black
better.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've done when we have
That
made
would
that a
look better.
requirement.
It'll look less institutional.
and I like the split rail, but the property owners wanted chain link, and I understand completely. Cattle are cattle, and this is
A
just
split rail
extra
fence. I
protection.
suggested the split rail fence myself,
Yes.
and their fear is that wouldn't keep their cattle in.
Yeah.
Should they get out, and that's dangerous, especially when small kids are playing in their yards.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's the neighbor's request, so
That's good. Very well.
thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any further questions or comments from the commission? Ms. Hamlin, anything on the items on our consent agenda?
Staff recommends approval with any condition listed.
Very well.
Thank you.
Public Works, please.
For item 5.2, Camel Wash, and I've sent these comments over to Jennifer and Jill already. Number 4 should read as follows. Lebanon Road Egress shall be shown as full access in, right out, that we will allow. And I want to add one more comment, number 6, to upgrade the sidewalks on North Mount Juliet Road to 6 feet to meet the commercial standard for arterial roads.
Very good. Any additional questions or comments? This time we'll call for citizen comments on any item on our consent agenda. Seeing no citizen comments at this time. Microphone? Name and address for the record, please.
So, and if this has been covered before, I apologize. So David Grisham, 2805 Meadow Glen. So we're on the north side of Mount Juliet. And we just had some questions about the ingress and egress for the Camel Express Car Wash.
Sure, please.
I mean, that where Slim Chickens is located now, we personally have experienced a couple of issues just because people don't always tend to go down to the light and turn in, which I think is as intended. We've seen a lot of naked left-hand turns across both turning lanes and then 2 lanes of traffic to try and get in. Also seen cases of people doing the reverse coming out, trying to make across all the lanes. So we just had some concerns about the same issues at Camel Express. So, I mean, I don't know if that's part of what you were addressing just now.
Yeah. Would you like to speak to that?
The citizen's comment refers to number 2, where we've encouraged, another more technical term for it, a concrete island or a pork chop island. We're trying to make it large enough to where you can't fix everything, but something that will deter a left turn movement from Mount Juliet Road there. So it can only be a right in or a right out. You know, we're forcing people to, I don't think you can truly eliminate someone scooting over 3 lanes of traffic. That's not the sole intent of it. But we are trying to improve existing conditions that are currently on North Mount Juliet Road.
Can you speak to, in the process of this Camel Express, there's changes to that Slim Chicken access point, as well as the addition of the new access point that will open up back onto the Lebanon Road section as well. Is that correct?
Consulting engineers here, she can talk
Please.
more about that.
Jessica Gore, 2031 North Mount Juliet Road, Paradesign. Actually, Slim Chicken was approved as a full in, right out when they came through and were reviewed and approved. And also the second half of their lane was not constructed at that time. So Slim Chickens has their drive-through lane and a bypass lane, but there is no in lane for someone to come in as it was designed.
Okay.
Because they were waiting on the next parcel over to develop to build their half of that driveway. So upon seeing how that functions, we came in with our plan, and staff took that as an opportunity, because it is within an access easement, to have my client change that from a full in off of Mount Juliet Road to a right in, right out only. That is shown on this plan. It will be tweaked with the construction documents, and likely we'll have to go back through TDOT for a permit. The access on Lebanon Road, if for those of you that are familiar with Capital City Market, it's wide open with access except for the very corner of Mount Juliet Road and Lebanon Road. And not only does this close all of that access off, but it pushes it further, 1 lot over from Capital City Market to the east, to push that as far over as we can without getting on the adjacent property.
Yeah.
So, and then when, as part of this plan, Capital City Market will go away. And as you all, I'm sure, are aware, there is another plan coming for that corner that will share that access and possibly have an original access on North Mount Juliet Road, which would be moved further south than it currently is.
Gotcha. So basically, we're going to change that Mount Juliet Road access to Slim Chickens from a straight in to a right in, right out.
Correct.
Which would
And
probably
we're
help some of
also
their-
building the other half of the driveway. It's not just going to be Slim Chickens and an access lane. So for people that are coming
Nice.
in off of North Mount Juliet Road that are traveling north and turn the right in, they'll also be able to come in and circle back around to get to the car wash as well.
That's great. Thank you. So that should help, hopefully help. I can tell you from my experience, we put in a lot of right-in, right-outs. They're interesting. Well, so we try to put those in there. Some have worked, some haven't. And know of a couple that we put a requirement on, they remodeled, and they're not even there anymore. So that's kind of one of the things that they do. But hopefully that movement that you're speaking of right there, hopefully with the approval of this plan, it would help deter some of that, push that traffic down to that stoplight like it's intended to do, get that ingress and egress coming up the east side of their lot or the back side of the lot as it appears from Mount Juliet Road. Another thing that it could do to potentially relieve some of that traffic concern out there, I guess my individual hope would be this access point back up onto Lebanon Road. So it'd be easy to just, if you're heading eastbound on Lebanon Road, you could go right through Mount Juliet Road or right past Mount Juliet Road, past the existing Capital City Market, make a right in, and then you could come right down and be able to access Slim Chickens that way, or the dental or the house construction business, or even this car wash that way as well. And then if you wanted to, if you live down towards the Bender's Ferry Way or West Elementary Way in town, be able to come back to that access point, relieve some of the traffic on Lebanon Road, and be able to come in and ride out and go that way. But you would not be able to take that rear access point on the back side or the east side of Capital City Market and make a left back going towards Hermitage in that movement. So that intersection would be straight in, but straight in would only be allowed off of Lebanon Road. But if you're coming off that new road that would be created right there, your only movement if you're leaving that site would be back towards the east. You could not make a left and try to head back towards Hermitage. Or our desire and creation with this, with the approval, should it be voted on, would be to restrict that movement. Also, this restricts the movement that you made a comment in regards right there, to hopefully push people to the stoplight. That's what we try to plan for, is get folks to the stoplight. Those are the safe points. And these access points, we do everything we can to control the movements or encourage the movements that push them towards stoplights.
I guess if I understood correctly.
Come on up here to the microphone real quick. No, that's okay. Good question.
No. So if I understood correctly, sounds like the proposed changes on the Mount Juliet Road side would take care of that. But then on the Lebanon Road side, essentially where Capital City Market is now, you're a right hand in and a right hand out, right hand in off of Mount Juliet Road. And then the only safe way to exit is a right hand out onto Lebanon Road. All that is going to be enclosed, and there would be an exit.
I can't speak to what they're going to do in the corner because I can't see that plan right now, or whatever they're going to propose for the corner. But this access point is actually not even on the Capital City property. It's on the property still further to the east of that. Apparently, they're going to acquire that property, or maybe already own that property.
Say there's a,
So it's further. Okay.
right. So that's where the exit would be. So even at that exit, would it be right hand out only, or would you?
Right on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't, in theory, you couldn't cross 2 lanes of traffic and then into the turning lane.
I'm sure someone tried.
Oh,
Yeah.
clearly. But
In
that's not
theory
the
is your
intent.
key word right there.
Right.
Yes,
It would
sir.
be configured such that you would have
Yeah.
a right hand out.
With that porch on the mountain.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Good comments. Any additional citizen comments? This time, I'd like to close our planning commission and meeting in order to open a public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to item 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. Item 3.2 is review the final plat for Carriage Trail Phase 3 located at Bar Drive. Item 3.3 is to review the final plat for CASA 2791 Phase 1 located at South Mount Juliet Road. Item 3.4, review the final plat for Nichols Vale Phase 8 located at Tenny Park Lane. Anyone wishing to make comment during the public hearing in regards to any one of those 3 items is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we'll close our public hearing, reopen our planning commission meeting, and at which time I am looking for a motion in regards to the items on our consent agenda. We did. We had some additional clarification comments in regards to the Camel Car Wash project, which would be the 5.2. And then Commissioner Weathers' comments in regards to items 3.3. Did you capture all those? You did? I've got a motion.
Second.
Which one? That was a good tie. I gotta have a motion in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. It's item 4.1, which is review the out-of-city sewer service extension request for 1082 Cedar Creek Village Road.
Like, this is the best case scenario, and I think this is exactly why we have this avenue for our citizens that are outside the city limits that do request that sewer. This development is already outside the city, and every house in there has sewer already. This gentleman is wanting to subdivide his lot and give half to his son and request that additional tap. So staff does support that request and would not recommend annexation for this area.
Very well.
And I'll let Shane finish up.
Please.
I think Jennifer said it best. This current property owner is already on our sewer, and there is no financial benefit. They're, like I said, the neighborhood's already built out. They're only looking for one tap, subdividing the lot for his family. And like Jennifer said, I know there's a resolution that's passed about out-of-city sewer by the BOC, but in this instance, it is truly looking for service to hook on to something that's already out in front of their property. So I completely agree and recommend that the board approve this out-of-city sewer request. Recommend for approval.
A quick clarification question. I look at the request and the total area of the property is 6.88 acres. And then, but the GIS map that we have on here shows 5.01 acres. Do we know which one is correct?
It's the 6.9.
Yeah, I don't know where
I just purchased 1.9.
Come on up here. Name and address for the record. We're going to get you on the record.
I'm Greg Terrio. I live at 1082 Cedar Creek Village Road.
Very well.
So I'm the one trying to do this. But yes, I just purchased 1.9 acres from the farmer next door, Mr. J. Smith. And I should have bought more, but I didn't know about the 2.5 acre requirement to be able to split this off. But anyway, we're going to go ahead. I would like to put 2.5 acres there for my son, build a house for him. So it'll be really out of 6.88 or something like that, I think is what the true acreage is now.
And leaving the existing house? Is that correct?
Yes, I'll still live in my house. Yes.
And your house is on that property, so you're just going to subdivide it out? Basically would give you two taps?
Yes.
He already has one tap. He's already on sewer, so he just needs.
Yeah, I'm already
Just
on
needs
one
one tap.
on sewer. My dad lives next door on 5 acres. I live on 5 acres I bought. Now I just bought this 2 more acres, almost 2 more, 1.9 acres. And I'm going to have to put a 50-foot right of way on my land to get up through there.
Very good.
Okay. To get into, it'll be a flag lot. That's why it has to be 2.5 acres.
Gotcha.
Thanks for reading already.
Mr. Marchetti?
This is not subject to being annexed. It's non-contiguous, so requiring annexation would just be futile. Can't do it.
Very well. Questions or comments from the commission? Seeing no additional comments this time, I'd like to call for citizen comments. Anyone wishing to make comment? Welcome, encouraged to do so. Seeing no citizen comments this time, I am looking for a recommendation in regards to this item on our agenda. Positive recommendation. And a second. That's a motion and a second for a positive recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? That is a positive recommendation. Next item up on our agenda is, falls underneath the site plan. It's item 5.1, which is to review the site plan for Andrews Cadillac located at Pleasant Grove Road. Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. This is for a 21,000 plus square foot building located on Pleasant Grove Road, as you stated. The applicant has worked really close with staff to try to come up with building elevations that accommodate their branding requirements as well as our commercial design standards. And I think that we've come up with a really good compromise. So the commercial design standard waiver that they've requested, staff supports. They have asked for a variance to the landscaping in the rear that abuts RS40. But as you all know from a project a few months ago, that's encumbered by wetlands. And I can actually, as the acting zoning administrator, waive up to 15% at staff level, which this meets, and I would have already done. But since it was coming before you guys, I just wanted to get your nod on that too. But staff supports that. And staff supports approval with any other listed conditions for this facility. I appreciate them working so closely with us and moving that building up closer to Pleasant Grove Road. So we're not looking at a sea of asphalt when we pass by. So they did a really good job with this one. Thank you.
First comment was that recommend a left turn lane onto the private shared access drive between Rocky Williams and this potential site. And other comments, I believe Joe has agreed to about meeting ADA compliance on the existing sidewalks, cross connectivity with BioLife per the land development code, and correcting some existing storm structures that are on the site existing. So I think the reason why we're discussing this is the access, which is comment number 1. And our reasoning for putting that turn lane in right now is standards, on a roadway cross section with the median divide is to provide a left turn at each entry point for safety reasons. And the curb cut that this site will be utilizing also already has that left turn that we're asking for to be put just east of this, or just west of, let me rephrase that. The left turn we're asking to be inserted just east of it. There's already a left turn lane onto the curb cut that the site will be using. And just a while ago, a dealership down the road on Belinda Parkway, it did not have this turn lane, and at their cost inserted a left turn into their dealership. So that's where our basis is for recommending that this left turn lane be inserted. So that's all we've got.
The building, the question I would have, if this has been addressed or not, but the building is very close to the subdivision where Catawba Drive is there. What's that? Pleasant Grove Estates. Yeah. That was, had some unfortunate things during the tornado back there. But the only thing that I was thinking of when looking at this was a lot of times automobile dealerships have loudspeakers throughout the parking lot. And if those are pointed directly towards that area over there, then that's the neighbors over there are constantly hearing the loudspeakers going off. Is there a way to have something integrated in this plan where those speakers are not directed towards that neighborhood, so they go the other direction, which will not totally quiet it down, but it'll make it slightly better?
We actually do the same thing for Rocky Williams, but I think if Mr. Andrews would come up here, they may do a lot of texting these days and not loudspeakers. So is that the case? That's the case.
Okay.
So that's why we would ask for that. But in today's times, I think it's a lot of texting rather than
There's no more loudspeakers.
no more
is what you're saying.
loudspeakers.
Yeah.
We did ask for that on Rocky Williams though.
Okay.
Yeah, in Nelson Andrews, address 1242 Monarch Way in Brentwood. Yeah, we've gotten past the paging externally thing.
Okay.
So it's primarily, like I said, texting and other means.
Thank you.
Because I was sitting there the other, I guess it was several months ago. But I thought we had a condition at one point on Paddocks and at Lowe's of that same thing. Yeah. And it- Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I was at Dillard's, 595, 59. Yeah. It's like, whoa, I think I was over on the street back there behind it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't think they could do that, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, that's a valid one there. Further questions or comments, Commissioner Hefner?
What's the traffic study done on this?
I'm on the first point.
Sure. Joe Haddock, Civil Site Design Group, 2305 Clyde. To answer your question, no. 2 reasons. This site falls within the boundaries of the original Paddocks PUD. As sites have been developed, Public Works has been keeping up with those sites and how the properties develop, tracking square footages, unit, space, whatever, to make sure that the limits of that existing study were not exceeded, right? The anticipated volume, which they haven't been.
Okay.
Second reason is this site would barely cross the threshold for a traffic study. I
Okay.
mean, like 5 trips a day, maybe, for like a level 1 traffic access study, which would just be a driveway location, let alone going out looking at other areas.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got a quick question for Jennifer. Did we, on Rocky Williams, speaking of Commissioner Cunningham's comment right there, did we have any condition on them about the external speakers or anything
On the speakers we did. They had speakers at
on Rocky Williams?
the time.
What was that? You
I
remember?
wish I could remember. I just remember it being brought up.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if we can't just piggyback the same kind of comment in lieu of Commissioner Cunningham's, but
Well, they've
Would like for them
indicated
to
that there
be-
will not be any loudspeakers, so I think we could probably just say there will not be any loudspeakers and we'll be covered.
is that okay?
As far as I know, I'm not aware of any pending need for loudspeakers.
There you go. We could add that as a comment. Further questions or comments?
Can I get John to show us there the entrance? The one off the private drive and the other. I've seen it in our plans, but it was awful small. And where were they talking about the left turn lane?
So, as Shane mentioned, this is our main access.
Hey, Joe. Oh, sorry.
Let me go back.
That was a little bit of echo. Yeah. In front of the microphone.
Try this. Is that better? As Shane mentioned, Pleasant Grove Road, existing eastbound left turn lane here, which is our main access point. Main entry into the facility here, parts and service here. This is really just a secondary. We're tying to the existing access on that Rocky Williams constructed. All of our activity should be here. This is where our visitor or, client parking is, our ADA parking's here. So as you know, there has been lots of activity for the site that sits here. So Mr. Andrews does not own this strip that would serve as the access back to that future parcel. We've developed a grading plan for it. Our site would grade to that point to know that it works for the future connectivity, and the landscaping we're installing would not be removed. But again, with the traffic that we talked about, lack of traffic study or need for a study, and the existing left here at our main access, we just don't feel a need for that second access point or left turn. And further, in conjunction with, what would be future development back there, that's their main access our point is maybe that should be their responsibility and not ours.
I would agree with you.
I agree with that.
So, while I have you, I think we've talked about that. We are in agreement with the ADA replacing some of the sidewalk across the frontage that's just settled or cracked over time. Discussion was about the connection to BioLife. Let me grab a different map. As y'all can appreciate, I'm here most months. The cross connectivity, I know it's an issue. So we felt like blowing out and looking at this, BioLife, our proposed site. So cross connectivity, I get it. If this was going to be 5 out parcels in a line, all for it. We'd set it up. BioLife here looks like they provided a stub to our property line. I cannot find any easement, cross-access easement recorded on their plat or separate documentation, just one. Second consideration we like to look at would be access for BioLife if something ever happened, right? So if we're looking, BioLife essentially exits into Walmart's parking lot, which 1, 2, 3 access points to Pleasant Grove Road through that parking lot. Our site, access to Pleasant Grove Road, access to the common drive between Rocky Wyndham. So we have 2. BioLife essentially has 3 out to Pleasant Grove Road. So we'd ask for consideration not to make that connection to BioLife. And then Public Works, condition 4, about existing pond outlet structure here. Honestly, I spoke with John Gibson, who developed Paddocks, is still part of the Property Owners Association. He had no idea that there was even a potential problem there. That pond is under a maintenance agreement recorded with the city. Mr. Gibson said, not a problem, he'll get it fixed. As a matter of fact, he'll probably get our contractor to fix it for him as we're under construction. But I would request that it may not be, a removal from our project requirement and be put on the Paddocks in general. I mean, that's the point of the maintenance agreement. So just respectfully requesting that also. So we can answer any questions or comments y'all may have.
Not a question on that, but would you show me where the service department's gonna be on that?
Oh. This is the maintenance here, but this drive through here is where you drive in and you can drop your car off. You can pick it up and exit and come back onto Pleasant Grove, but you got to come in here. Right through our.
Most traffic would exit that road rather than go back. Yeah.
They would probably exit onto that
Okay.
common drive as
Yeah.
opposed to entering the site. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Questions or comments from the commission?
I'd like to recommend that we strike number 1, the left turn.
Let's do this real quick.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
No.
Let's go ahead and call for citizen comments in regards to this item on our agenda. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, sounds like you were working towards a motion, so I'm
Yes, sir.
going to get that out of the way and allow you to work that towards the
Sure.
motion. So you have the floor.
So a motion to strike number 1 under Public Works comments respectfully. And also number 4, Public Works, number 4.
You do want to keep the connection to BioLife number 3?
Yeah.
And there's a maintenance agreement either which way, so the
Right.
pond would have to be cleared up.
I just want to say that we have so many problems out of the paddocks on maintenance. I would not want to tie that to Mr. Andrews, but for the record, it's a habitual offender and non-responsive, and it's very frustrating, to say the least. But I would not want to tie that to Mr. Andrews.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Your motion is not to provide,
Yeah, I want to, that's correct, to not provide the left turn. Yeah, I mean, it's minimal traffic. I mean, it's
heavy traffic.
it's not a heavy traffic. The car dealerships generally don't generate a lot of traffic. The main entrance already has a left turning lane. So there's going to be a future development in the back, and everybody knows how fast the city's growing. So I imagine it'll be just a matter of time before we see a project come
You
through.
need a
So
second on that.
He does.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second on that. I want to add a comment to that if you guys are okay with it. In regards to the leaving or making the connection for the access back there or the potential future access at some point to the rear of the lot, to be designed, but I'd like to see it fenced or gated and not necessarily opened at this point in time, especially if there's no access agreement right there, or access easement activated on that. I don't want to hinder their ability to press forward. And if they can't get a access agreement out there, then it's just going to be a little stub. Heck, it could have your parking in it, but just the back of it, just design it so that it could connect at some point should either one of the businesses change in the future. We don't know, but the world is changing drastically right now as we see it before our eyes every day. And just gate it, fence it, whatever you guys in Public Works decide to do on that right there. Would that be okay? Because I don't necessarily feel like it's ideal to be open and controlled by Andrews Cadillac right there. That be acceptable?
that's acceptable.
That I have. So
Please.
the only two that I have remaining are that any existing sidewalk and accessible ramps along Pleasant Grove Road that are not ADA compliant shall meet ADA standards. And per Land Development Code 9-106.4.2, provide a gated connection to the driveway stub at BioLife, et cetera, et cetera. Gated. Okay.
Motion and a second, Stan?
Yes, it does.
It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Welcome out, Juliet.
Thank you.
With that being said, I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye, against, abstention. We are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.